Today on Locked On Red Wings, the Red Wings and Tigers are severing ties with Main Street Sports Group, and we continue our midseason evaluations, leading off with John Gibson, whose turnaround is leading Detroit's charge.
You're Locked On Red Wings, your daily podcast on the Detroit Red Wings, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Welcome back to the Locked On Red Wings podcast. We are your hosts, Brian Fisher and Scotty Bentley, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. And you can find us wherever you get your podcasts. If you'd like to listen to us ad-free, hop on over to lockedonpodcast.com/everydayer. Sign up and subscribe to the Everydayer Club. You get our episodes ad-free, as well as access to an exclusive Discord server where you can talk to each other and us. Scotty, got to continue our midseason evaluations today. That's the goal. But earlier this afternoon, as we record in the evening here on Monday, it was announced formally that both the Tigers and the Red Wings, Ilitch-owned teams, are severing ties with the Main Street Sports Group, who is the company that owns the FanDuel Sports Network, because the FanDuel Sports Network is just a naming right. So that means that after this season, the Red Wings are done with FanDuel Sports Network. They will continue to be broadcasted on their airwaves until the conclusion of the Detroit Red Wings season. The Tigers, however, are going to be on this new platform this season, like coming up shortly, because pitchers and catchers report what, this week, Scotty?
Yeah, well, as people are listening to this, like a day or two, if depending on if they play in the WBC or not.
So it's really exciting news for Detroit sports fans, because because what's happening here is they're entering into a first-of-its-kind partnership with Major League Baseball, which will provide broadcast support to both the Red Wings and Tigers for the upcoming seasons. We don't know what this will look like yet, and the Ilitch has yet to announce what the subscription plan would look like, especially in concurrency in working together with the cable networks. Let's say that. I don't know why I try to use big words. It's not part of my game.
I kind of got what you were going for, to be honest. Yeah.
But so there's still a lot of information left up in the air, but we do know this is the final season of the Red Wings on FanDuel Sports Network, and starting very shortly, the Tigers will be on whatever this new streaming service will be. Scotty, thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's excitement. The lack of further information kind of limits how much we can really talk about it. So kind of a quick just anecdote at the beginning here, and then we'll go on to our player evaluations. But I think it's exciting. I think most people are excited about it. The FanDuel Sports Network product, the on TV talent is phenomenal, and we love and respect all those people. But the technological side has been unbelievably frustrating. So I think that a lot of people are really excited about the switch, and I'm really intrigued on if the Pistons hop over and join that as well. But it sounds like that there's going to be at least not partnership. It's literally the same ownership group with the Wings and the Tigers, and it'll. I mean, the Red Wings, what that looks like going forward is going to be really intriguing. So, they'll have a cable channel. So if you're like, oh my goodness, does that mean I have to stream this? No, there will be a cable channel that would be announced at a later date, and there will obviously be streaming options and subscription prices, etc., that will be available as well.
Scotty, let's now transition back into our mid-season evaluations. Something that we have done yesterday. We did 7 players. I'll throw it up on the screen here, do a quick recap of where people ranked if you missed yesterday's episode. To start off with, we had Moritz Seider in above and beyond expectations. We had Emmett Finney in above expectations, Andrew Kopp as well as JVR in above. We had Cam Talbot in meeting, and we had JBD and Michael Rasmussen in below expectations. Today's episode, we are going to lead off with John Gibson, who is the goalie that the Red Wings brought in to be their starter, has had a had a terribly cold start to his tenure in Detroit, but since then has been lights out. On the season, he's got a .904 save percentage. So, Scotty, when it comes to like your expectations going into the year, the full scope of what he's done, how do you rank John Gibson?
This is honestly just a tough one because you're debating how high your preseason expectations were for him. You're not debating what he's done, right? Like, it's pretty objective that he has been one of the best goalies in the conference, which is, something I certainly didn't expect to say going into the year. So it's really just a debate of above or above and beyond, just based on what you individually believed that the Wings were going to get out of Gibson going into the year. I think for me, I'm down to put him in above and beyond. I really have no fear in that regard, just because he has been, even going into the season, we were talking about like, he needs to be like the bell cow and be the number one, etc. I think there's a difference between that and being like, oh, he's been really good or like well above league average or whatever. And since the middle or end of November, he's been, one of the best goalies in all of hockey. So I'm down to put him in above and beyond, just because I didn't expect to sit here and say that John Gibson has maybe been the Red Wings' best player up to this point in the season. That is not a sentence I ever thought that I was going to utter. And I think there's an argument that that's true. But again, I mean, that this one feels a little bit more, I don't know, maybe we get more variance between those two just from person to person based on what people expected out of him going into the year.
I don't think I can put him in above and beyond just simply because of how he started the year. And, we talked about it yesterday with Cam Talbot. Cam Talbot had to pick up the slack until he got comfortable. Since then, yes, absolutely. And he's been one of the best goalies in the league since, December 1st, whenever that shutout against the Vancouver Canucks was. But when you look at the full scope of this season, his numbers are exactly where we wanted him to be. It's just that it's because he had to go on an incredible run to recover. Remember, He was at like an .860 save percentage until he went on this incredible tear, gotten himself back to .904. But he is absolutely, Scotty, leading the charge these last 2 months for the Detroit Red Wings. All of December, all of January, I mean, we saw the 5-on-5 scoring from Detroit kind of begin to go downhill, take a nosedive. But they were still winning games, and that was because of John Gibson. So while in the grand scheme of things, yes, he is meeting expectations based on my expectations for him. We wanted him to be the 1A or the starter, have like a .905 save percentage. He does have that. But when you take the nuances into account, you can't not put him in above. Because of how that season started, I find it hard to put him in above and beyond expectations. Sure. Because there was such a stretch where it was like, what, are we going to see Sebastian Cossa this season? We got worried. Let's not forget that. So for me, I got to put him in above. I don't know do you want to fight me on it?
No, I don't. And like I said, I think that that's a situation where there is more like nuance with his analysis than maybe anybody else on the roster. So I'm kind of cool with either of the top two as long as it's one of those. Yeah.
I mean, if you just take out that first month and a half, like it's above and beyond slam dunk. But that first month and a half, like the Red Wings, we were having conversations about when do you call Sebastian Cossa up because it was looking real rough. But he's definitely gone above and beyond since then to earn that spot in above expectations. That kind of didn't make sense because I said above and beyond in that sentence, but you got where I was going. Scotty, let's take a quick break. When we return, we'll continue this conversation with Dylan Larkin and Lucas Raymond. Stay tuned to Locked On Red Wings. If you've ever hired someone who looked good on paper but wasn't the right fit, you know how important that is. When you want candidates who truly match what you're looking for, trust Indeed sponsored jobs. Hiring Indeed is all you need. Stop struggling to get your job post seen on other sites. Indeed sponsored jobs put your post at the top of the page and help you reach the right candidates faster. If I needed to hire someone for this show, I'd go straight into Indeed and be very specific about what I need. Real experience, not just resume buzzwords. Instead of struggling to get your job post seen, Indeed sponsored jobs help your listing stand out and reach quality candidates faster. Sponsored jobs boost your post to see people who are the best match for your role, and that makes a real difference. According to Indeed data, sponsored job posts directly on Indeed are 90% more likely to report higher than non-sponsored jobs. Spend more time interviewing candidates who check all your boxes with less stress, less time, and more results. Using Indeed sponsored jobs. Listeners of this show get a $75 sponsored job credit to help you give your job the premium placement it deserves at Indeed.com/lockedon. Just go to Indeed.com/lockedon right now and support the show by saying you heard about Indeed on this podcast. Terms and conditions apply.
Indeed, they do.
Scotty, Dylan Larkin. I think this is going to be a little frustrating conversation to have, but I think we might end up in the same boat. We tend to align on a lot of things. If there's a difference, it's not by much. Dylan Larkin has 26 goals, 25 assists for 51 points in 58 games played. We have well documented at this point, and not just us, many people have, his 5-on-5 struggles since the start of December. Many of his points, when he does get them, come on the power play. He is on pace for a career high in goals, but his points per game has taken a hit this season as he struggles to get on the score sheet, and not even get on the score sheet, but win his minutes against other teams' top lines. And it brings up the question, is he hurt? Is he not hurt? When it comes to where the expectation for Dylan Larkin was going into the season, where do you have him ranked?
I don't know, man. I don't know. I think that I agree with you. I think this is probably a little bit more of a prickly conversation. I think, to be fair to him, it's not like he's having a bad or horribly unproductive year. I think that there's just a lot of stuff that you'd hope that he was more situations that he was more productive in. If I think the argument that we've had with a lot of these guys, if you're taking in full body of work, he got off to a really good start this year. Early in the season, he had a month, November-ish, where he was, one of the more productive players on the team in terms of points. And this wasn't the dialogue was he's struggling at 5-on-5. So I think, we have that conversation with Gibson. We talk full body of work. I don't know. I think, to me, it's between meeting and below, and I guess I'm kind of between a rock and a hard place on which one to go with.
I mean, he's on pace for 72 points across 82 games. He had 70 points last season, 30 goals, 40 assists. That was a down year for Larkin. At least that's what we thought. He had 69 points in 68 games, over a point per game the year prior, where he missed some time due to injury, and 79 in 80. So the expectation in those 2 years where he had nearly 80 points, was floating around a point per game, was going to be the new norm. Last year, it dipped down a little bit. He still reached 30 goals, but 70 points, and now he's on pace for that again this season. You're right. He came out of the gate so hot. And when John Gibson was struggling, it was Dylan Larkin's incredibly hot stretch. And then when the depth scoring was struggling, it was Dylan Larkin and his incredibly hot stretch to start the season that was really carrying the Detroit Red Wings. But since December, around the same time John Gibson turned around and got turned on fire, he's been a non-factor at 5-on-5 to the extent that his line has been broken up at times because there's just nothing doing. And while they're reunited now, outside of a game against Colorado where they shut them out 2-0, the team, that line still has yet to do really anything. And so, yeah, he's going to have 30 to 35 goals again this season, but you need more out of him. You need him to win his minutes, time in and time out, if he's going to be game in and game out, if he's going to be your team's 1C. 70-point player is fantastic, don't get me wrong, but you need him to be more, and the expectation I felt personally is higher for Larkin. And so that's why because John Gibson, I just said, you take the full season into account and how he's been, I am taking in that that first month and a half into account, it's been more of the season of him not winning his minutes than it has been winning his minutes.
Sure.
So even though he's probably on pace for around where he normally finishes, I can't help but feel, and that's the thing about these midseason evaluations, it's a big feel, right? It's a very subjective. I can't help but feel he's been below my expectations right now.
Yeah, I think that's super fair, and I think that I'm probably in the same boat. It is the price that comes with expectation is when you can have,
Right.
over 70 points and be used in every situation, and it can still be viewed at as below. And that's also, that's up to this point. That's not saying that he, doesn't get hot over the Olympics and come back and, go on another heater and boost everything up again and kind of refine his form. But based on what we've seen so far this year, yeah, I really can't help but not think that he's been probably just below what we expected out of him this year.
Well, and that brings us to his line mate, Lucas Raymond, who, I mean, again, after being the first Red Wing since Henrik Zetterberg to reach 80 points, expectations were high for Raymond. We were thinking 85, 90 points this year. And you know what's funny? He's on pace to do that. He's got 60 points in 56 games played. His issue is a little bit the opposite of Larkin's, where he's racking up assists like crazy. 41 assists, 60 points. His goal scoring is what's slumping a little bit right now. 19 goals in 56 games played. He, I think, scored 6 5-on-5 goals in January, but a lot of those goals were, lucky bounces or lucky breaks where defensemen just coughed it up to him all alone. We had 2 off the stanchion to him. It was a wild month for Lucas Raymond. So when you look at the grand scheme of things, he's actually on pace to do exactly what we were hoping for. But again, it comes down to is he winning his minutes at 5-on-5, and he's part of that line that's struggling. So this is where I don't know where to put him. I honestly don't.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know if I do either. It's almost a situation where you have to like divide his areas of play. You know what I mean? Where it's like, okay, well, obviously the goal scoring, I think it's pretty safe to say has been well below. But like, again, the season point totals don't look bad. But then also, this is a guy that got demoted to the third line. Like if this happened to just about anybody else, I mean, we'd probably be talking about below expectations. He got booted off the first line and was playing third line, minutes for a solid week and a half there just a month or so ago. So it's really tough. I completely agree with you. I think you could make an argument for probably meeting or below again.
Yeah, I feel like what saves him is that the fact that he's got 60 points in 56 games played, he leads the Detroit Red Wings in points.
Yeah, it's still a game.
Right, like while he's not necessarily, he's on pace for 88 points right now. Like we're talking about a guy who's on pace for 88 points, and we're talking about him like he's been a disappointment. And it's insane to feel that way, again, based on the 5-on-5 play. And it's not. He also leads the Red Wings in 5-on-5 points. He's got 30. So I think he is still in meeting expectations just because he is finding the points, although his line with Dylan Larkin needs to figure out how to start winning their minutes and scoring points at 5-on-5 outside of pucks coming off the stanchions or defensemen turning it over to you right and tight in front of a goalie, right? So he's getting a lot of the points. He's getting a lot of the assists, but the goal scoring, you got to shoot the puck a little bit more, Lucas. Let's go. But I'm fine with putting him in meetings still if you are, just because, I mean, he's on pace for 88 points. It's not all doom and gloom. He's still finding his way into the score sheet. It's just at 5-on-5, their line is not doing enough.
Yeah, I'm with it.
Scotty, let's take a quick break. When we return, we'll continue the conversation. We have 4 more guys to get to in one segment, so we're going to have to bust through this. So stay tuned to segment 3 of Locked On Red Wings. Cold days, packed schedules, and big goals, that's winter. And when there's not a lot of time to cook, eating well can feel like another thing on the to-do list. That's where Factor comes in. Factor makes healthy eating easy with fully prepared meals designed by dietitians and crafted by chefs so you can eat well without the planning, prepping, or cooking. Factor meals are always fresh, never frozen, and ready in about 2 minutes. The ingredients stand out: lean proteins, colorful veggies, whole foods, and healthy fats. Options like high protein, calorie smart Mediterranean diet, GLP-1 support, and even the new Muscle Pro collection for strength and recovery. Perfect for busy weeks when you still want meals that support your goals without the stress. Head to factormeals.com/LockedOnNHL50off and use code LockedOnNHL50off to get 50% off and free breakfast for a year. Eat like a pro this month with Factor. New subscribers only, varies by plan, 1 free breakfast item per box for 1 year while subscription is active. All right, Scotty, let's kick this into overdrive here. We got Simon Edvinsson up next. This is a guy... I have him in possible above and beyond territory.
Wow.
And he's got 17 points in 48 games played. I mean, the question becomes, is his success this season because of who he plays with? Because their pair is one of the best pairs in the NHL.
For sure.
One of the most dominating defensive pairs in the NHL. And he's had a couple of big moments. The OT winner against Toronto, for instance, he has come up huge for the Red Wings on multiple occasions. Obviously, on IR at the moment, expected to be healthy coming out of the Olympic break. Knock on wood that continues to be the case. Where are you at with Simon Edvinsson?
Yeah, I think I probably hover more around above, but that's not like an indictment of his level of play this year. We've raved about it all season. He's been absolutely phenomenal, and as you mentioned, he is half of one of the best defensive pairs in hockey up to this point in the season. So hopefully he comes back and he comes back healthy and looking like he did before the break. Maybe it is. Maybe I am just being like
a curmudgeon.
I don't know. Well, maybe. I think it might partially be due to just like the fact that he's on a pair with Seider, and it's like, well, we kind of talked about that a couple of weeks ago. Like, really, everybody who's played with Seider has had a good game in the game that which they've been his partner. So that's, again, I'm not trying to like drag Edvinsson's season down or say that it's not been as good as people think. It's been absolutely phenomenal. I think that this is just another one where there's a lot of kind of nuance surrounding it, but he's certainly been above, if not above and beyond what we expected out of him this year. He's taken a huge step forward.
Yeah, I mean, it comes down to, yes, you're right. Every single player who plays with or Moritz Seider is good. Like, that's the type of defenseman Moritz Seider is. He makes his teammates look good. But on the inverse, Moritz Seider's numbers look the best they ever have with Simon Edvinsson as well. Sure. So Edvinsson is by far the most capable defensive partner he's had, and he's locking down top pair left D more than anyone ever has. Like, that's his until further notice, right? So, but we also keep in mind, right, the full context of the season. He struggled with ASP to start the season. You were hoping he could be the big defenseman to mentor the young guy. Now, granted, it's essentially his sophomore season, third technically, but he could not handle being that mentor role himself. So you do wonder maybe it's not quite above and beyond, but there's also the conversation about ASP's performance too. We'll get to him in tomorrow's episode. I hover between above and beyond and above, and a lot of it just keeps coming down to, is it him? I mean, a lot of it is him. Don't want to discount him. A lot of it is him, but how much it is also playing with a Norris candidate defenseman and Moritz Seider. If you want to put him in above, I'm fine putting him into above. I will defer. You've deferred to me a couple times this episode, but I'm like right on the cusp with him. Like, if I had to put him, like if we had a tweener spot, Edvinsson would be in the tweener spot. For sure. Yeah, and I can get behind that. Okay. Next up is Albert Johansson, another ebbs and flow guy. And it's not been a clear-cut season for Albert Johansson. He struggled for a long while this season, but in the last month, all of a sudden he's got his confidence back and he's looking pretty strong.
Yeah, and I think that that's kind of where this entire conversation revolves around is just, are you more confident that what he's been over the last month is going to maintain or is it because that we've kind of seen this movie before with him, right? Where like, okay, he's getting some playing time, he's fine, and then he goes through a stretch where he's, really effective. We kind of saw that last year when he was called up as well. So I don't know. It's one of those weird things where if you take either the last like 2 months or the first 2 or 3 months in a vacuum, you get a concrete either above or below. But if you average them out, you probably get around meeting. And like that's not really fair because I'm not sure he's ever been like for a long period of time, at least 100% just exactly what we thought he was going to be. He's kind of either been above or below most of the season, but I don't know. It kind of depends on if we're averaging out the season as a whole or picking one or the other.
If I'm going to be blunt, like if it weren't for the last month and a half, he'd probably be failing for me. Like this is a guy like he played.
That's totally fair. Yeah,
he played second pair defenseman last year, and we were on here. We were saying like that's not long term. Like he'll probably end up being a third pair defenseman just because of his size, but he's very mobile. He moves the puck really well. He's got a good hockey IQ. He's just undersized. I just didn't foresee him being a second pair defenseman long term. So we were all pumping up his tires about being the third pair defenseman. And part of it, again, like your teammates control part of how your performance goes. And he was playing with Hamonic and JBD, who were struggling as well. But he was struggling to start the season, and we had high hopes for him on the third pair. Last month and a half, he's been really, really good. So it's almost, to me, he goes from failing to below expectations just in the full scope. But by the end of the season, with how he's trending, like he could end up still being in meeting expectations for me. It's almost like, yeah, he might be in below expectations for what we've seen thus far, but that's a trending up below. Like he went from failing to below expectations when you take the full scope into account. For me personally.
Yeah, no, I like that a lot. Actually, I think that's totally fair.
So it's a below expectations, but a trending up below expectations. Yeah. Towards meeting with how he's been performing. Next up, we got JT Compher. We still got 2 players to get through, so let's try and be quick here. JT Compher is an interesting one in that he's very uninteresting in a lot of it. He has got 19 points in 58 games played with the Detroit Red Wings this year, kind of continuing the low production we saw from him last year. He did have a little spike of offense. Was it in December where he had a stretch of games where he was scoring goals? But, I mean, he's been their 3C most of the season with a short stint on 2C, and I think JT Compher's been JT Compher.
Yeah. I mean, to me, this is. I mean, if we want to put him just in meeting because that's what we expected out of him this year, I'm fine with that. But I honestly would even debate below. Like, I don't think that that's like too far fetched.
I think it's below. I do think it's below.
Because I think it's below. I think that there's. Again, when we are talking about going into the year, what we were hoping maybe is the better word for him to get out of him, because last year was not very great either in terms of point production. Maybe there was a hope that there would be an uptick in point production and he would go back to maybe somewhat closer to year one type of point producing, and that obviously just hasn't happened. So it's not like he's been terrible or that he doesn't have a role on the team. I just think he pretty comfortably has not been what the Wings expected him to be for going on, 2 seasons now.
Yeah, and his point production is trending downward yet again. Like, he's on pace for 26 points. He had 33 last year, and the year prior he had 48. Like, he came to Detroit. His first season was really good. He had 52 in his final year, his contract year with Colorado. He had 48 the next season, so he basically replicated his performance with a lesser team because, let's face it, Detroit's not as good as Colorado is. Yeah. And then he went 33, and now he's on pace for 26. Like, I can only say he's fine because I don't notice him. But that's not a good thing. Like, you're paying him $5 million. You expect to notice him out there. So, below expectations is fine. Borderline, I mean, I'm starting to talk myself into failing. We'll see where we're at by the end of the year. Marco Kasper, final one for today's episode. Another guy that, say, if it weren't for him picking up his production a little bit here in January would probably be in failing, and I honestly think there might still be a conversation for that. It depends on how forgiving we want to be here.
Yeah, I agree, man. To me, this is a slam dunk starting point of below, and it's just a matter of, how hard you want to be on him so far this season. When we think about what our preseason conversation was surrounding Kasper, or the preseason expectations for him going into the year, there was a hope for a step forward. There was a conversation about him being on the top line. I mean, this is well below what expectations were out of him. We had a conversation like a month ago about if it made sense to send him to Grand Rapids. Like, this is not just a dry spell of, oh, you're hoping he can like snap out of it thing. This is just all year. And there's not like very concrete hot stretch to kind of save him. I mean, as you mentioned, he certainly has been better over the last few weeks than he was, but it's not like he's been setting the world on fire and it's like, oh my goodness, night and day difference. There's just, he went from just like 0 points to like a few. Like, it's just like it's not literally zero in terms of production. So I don't know. I think there's certainly an argument for failure. I would probably still default to maybe below, but I don't know. I could probably pretty easily be convinced to put him in failure.
I mean, that hot stretch was 5 games ago. Like, he scored 6 points in 5 games after getting promoted to the top line, and that started with his 2.9 against San Jose. So he scored 6 and 5. Then he went scoreless for another 3. He scored a goal against Colorado before going scoreless again against Utah. So he, as a whole, he's got, how many goals does he have on the season total? Let me go back here. Marco Kasper overview. He's got 13 points in 57 games. I know he's a sophomore slump, and you expect the sophomore slump to happen, but this is different. I think I might have Marco Kasper in failing.
Yeah, I'm totally fine with that, to be honest.
And this isn't me saying that like, oh, he's a bust, I'm done with him. Like, I still think Marco Kasper is going to be a very good hockey player, but his struggles this season have gone beyond the threshold of below expectations and sophomore slump. Like, he is outright just not, and he's gotten better. Don't get me wrong, he has definitely been trending better, but still not consistent enough. Like, you need more points out of him. And if I'm being honest, I think retroactively I might want to put JT Compher in failing expectations too. Because, I mean, you're paying him $5 million a year, and he's on pace for 26 points.
Yeah, I think Compher's, to me, and this is not fair, but to me, the saving, quote unquote, like grace with Compher is that expectations already plummeted after last season with him. But
he's below those expectations.
No, and that's why he's in below. Like, I agree. Don't get me wrong. But I think, in my head at least, that's the difference between the two, is like, I didn't expect much out of Compher, and he still is not living up to the little that we expected out of him. Whereas Kasper, probably had a wider range and more optimism with him going into the year. That's all.
Yeah,
but I'm fine with whatever. I'm not like going to war with that. If you want to move him down, that's fine.
Yeah, I can't. You're paying him $5 million, and you're not. And granted, part of it is like, how are they using him? Like, kind of like Andrew Kopp a few years ago, but you're also playing against lesser competition. They do generate a lot of offense in terms of like, they get in the offensive zone, they grind out the opponent, and they get off and give possession to the next guy. But I mean, you paid this guy to be like 2C for you, and he's struggling to score at 3C. I don't know. I think that's fair.
Works for me.
Scotty, do you have any final thoughts?
We ball, baby.
We do ball. We'll be back with a new episode tomorrow as we finish this up and then give you our Olympic preview as men's hockey starts on Wednesday. Same time, same place. It's your team every day.